This begins part 4 of 4 of the recording, Who Will Protect My Children? The Journey. The conventional approach, a detour or a holding pattern. As stated in the first recording of this series, it became clear only in time much of the journey of exploration into our creativity was to burn off my human mind's understanding and my mind's misconception about creation and our creativity. Similarly, as stated earlier in this recording, there was the need to explore what beliefs, biases, and perceptions that I, the author, carried that needed to be shed to see the nature of reality for what it was and how our creativity related to the reality we are experiencing. Throughout this journey of experiencing new, original creations never before experienced by me, I found my mind continually persists in trying to determine the outcome and direction as to how the understanding I access should unfold. 10 years after hearing the request, I took an early retirement to spend the remainder of my time in life looking to nurture this creative spirit and its heartfelt passion within individuals and continue a deeper exploration into our creativity. At this time, I thought I had what was needed, and I understood all that was needed to promulgate the understanding. As stated in the first recording of Who Will Protect My Children series, at this point in time, the journey revealed we each have within us a creative spirit and its associated heartfelt passion. If we are unable to live and express this passion to a sufficient degree, we will feel something in life is missing and may even feel an outright pain and that life is somehow not worth living. In seeking to look outward to try and address what seems to be missing, no solution is found, for what is missing is inside of us. This is something within us associated with our creative spirit and its heartfelt passion, is unexpressed for whatever reason it may be. To help individuals access their creative spirit and its heartfelt passion, the Discerning Personal Truth and Calibrating Your Internal Compass exercises were created and guidance provided as to learning to navigate from the heart. These efforts seem to address the understanding the children, the creative spirit within each individual, and how the creative spirit can be protected by learning to navigate from the heart. My efforts appeared successful and appeared to address the request, Who will protect my children? Here I could stop and say, by assisting others to access and freely express their creative spirit and heartfelt passion, I would be protecting the children. In giving them a safe space for individuals to do their own experiments to help define and refine their unique creative expressions of their heartfelt passion and empower them to live that passion, I can say I fulfilled the request, Who will protect the children. The remaining task at the time appeared only to require figuring out how to package and communicate the understanding about our creative spirit and its heartfelt passion. So that is what I thought I would do next. It is here I began to dance between two paths. One path was I felt something more was needed to be addressed, but I was unsure what it was that needed to be addressed. I continued to explore our creativity in its two aspects, our creative ability and our creative power. This path eventually resulted in the findings stated in the first recording of this series, fulfilling the request as to who the children really are. As discussed earlier, there was also the need to complete a paradigm for the gentle phoenix and figure out how all the pieces to the gentle phoenix appear to fit together. As I said, I did find the essence of a way to create the gentle phoenix, but two things were missing relative to creating that gentle phoenix. One was the need for an accompanying paradigm that I did not have at the time. The paradigm was needed to provide a reasonable understanding for the human mind so the human mind could understand how a gentle phoenix is possible. The paradigm also needed to be one which would not allow the creative spirit to be recaptured by the god of the underworld. This second thing was what I seemed to have all the pieces, but it appeared I could not properly complete the puzzle. When I received the last piece of understanding for the journey of exploration into our creativity in May 2024, it also provided the piece of the understanding I needed to see how the gentle phoenix came together. The second path was to follow a conventional way. When someone has information to present, they look for ways to promulgate the information into the world. I wrote what I understood and created the RYUC websites. The conclusion from the journey of the exploration into our creativity I had at the time provided the information for the Releasing Your Unlimited Creativity websites. Simultaneously, I looked to give workshops and did quite a bit of consulting through emails and eventually Skype and subsequently Zoom. From the time I received the knowing, when I acted to free the heart of another, based on what I learned about our creativity, it was clear there would be the need for something my mind characterized like a learning center and a retreat center. These would be needed for a place for individuals to learn and discover what is possible through their creativity, and then a place to go and apply and experience what they had learned to transform themselves. I had hoped to create both a learning center and a retreat center where individuals could go and refocus their life. However, in working with individuals, I found individuals did not have a paradigm which allowed them to truly see what kept them from their own creativity, creative ability, and creative power. Such a paradigm did not exist, at least I could not find one in all the books, philosophies, manifesting guidance, religious traditions, spiritual traditions, and esoteric traditions in which I searched. In essence, the paradigm that most people were using to guide their life was robbing them of their creative ability and creative power without the realization they were robbing themselves. Trying to capture why the existing paradigm tended to rob individuals of their creative ability and creative power, and understanding what individuals needed to do to escape their existing paradigm, there was the need to create a new paradigm, in particular, one which would not allow the individuals to rob themselves of their own creative ability and creative power. Looking for a paradigm which allowed the individuals to access the depth and breadth of their inherent creativity took me much longer than I ever expected. I felt the effort was completed in November 2009. However, the length of the journey and unexpected difficulty individuals have in escaping their existing paradigm caused me to drain my financial reserves. As a result, I was faced with the question as to how do I continue to move forward to build those learning centers and retreat centers without the necessary financial resources. Given the difficulty I experienced with individuals attempting to break free of their existing paradigm, even with the possibility of creating a gentle phoenix, I knew I could not use traditional marketing approaches for the understanding. Yet I needed to replenish my financial resources. Since the workshops, advertising, and websites did not unfold financially as I had hoped, I considered going back to working full-time. I did take a part-time job to begin to replenish the financial resources, but as I thought about the situation, I realized that any job I had, even back in high school, I would counsel individuals as to how to move to a life worth living by learning to calibrate their internal compass. I found myself doing so in the part-time job I'd just taken. But in taking the part-time job, I also contemplated what type and kind of job I could take where I was free to counsel individuals as I saw fit and help individuals access their passion which lied in their heart and gave them life, and yet not interfere with the job and with what the boss would want of me. As I was contemplating this question, an unexpected opportunity arose. On the way home from the part-time job I had taken, I stopped in a local train store planning to talk to the proprietors. In the conversation, I came to understand, as a result of circumstances beyond their control, they needed to move and sell the store. I asked how much they were asking and did a few calculations based on the past 2 years of sales and profits. And looking at the numbers and what it would cost me to buy the store based on refinancing my house and utilizing my remaining reserves, I realized that if I could run the store half as well as the current proprietors were doing, even with a downturn in the economy, I could recover my expenses, balance my finances, and lay the foundation to replenish my resources so as to move forward with the possibility of creating a learning center or retreat center. Also, my son was approaching college age, and I knew there would be the need to cover the college expenses. How much would be needed was unknown, so I chose to buy the store. In purchasing the store, I realized two things. One was I would be free to work with individuals as I saw fit without the concern of a boss worrying about me doing what they ask. The second was I would be working with individuals who were seeking to access that passion which lied in their heart, even though they did not realize that's what they were seeking. One of my motivations to buy the store centered on the observation made in the journey of exploration into our creativity. The observation was the most creative state is a state of spontaneous and innocent childlike play of discovery and exploration of oneself and one's world. When I gave workshops, rarely did men come. Normally only women attended. I pondered why men did not come to the workshops. Then I realized men like to play with toys. Model trains were one of the few areas where I saw grown men return to a state of non-competitive play. Not necessarily childlike play, but a creative play. I bought the train store to get people to play and try to use the understanding about our creativity to advise and consult people on their creativity. My logic was simple. Since the individuals were entering the train store were already following a path which could lead them to a state of creative play through their model railroading and trains, I did not have to address their minds standing in the way of their efforts. I simply needed to help them align with the passion that was giving rise to their play with their chosen method of model trains. If they could learn to follow the passion, and as it shifted in their life, they would have the doorway to a gentle phoenix. It would be a doorway to access the creative ability and creative power that they needed to create both that inner satisfaction with life that never runs dry no matter what is happening in the external world in their life, and create a life worth living. The trick was simply to become aware of the passion which leads to the creative play, and as it shifts in our life, be ready to move to follow it. I used my resources to purchase a train store to attempt to get individuals to creatively play and to supplement my income while my son was in college. Although the mundane of the store soon much more time than I imagined, I had not abandoned the desire to create a gentle phoenix for people. I know of nothing more wonderful in life to experience or to create in life for people to have. I have not abandoned the desire to create the learning center and the retreat center where individuals can go to access those tools and understanding to create a gentle phoenix in their life or for whatever they desire to create. It may just take a little longer than I originally hoped, as did the writing and the creativity and the creating the necessary paradigm. My goal was after I had the store effectively up and running, I could have a few individuals run the store so I could return to creating a gentle phoenix for people full time. Of course, I did not know if it would ever happen that way, but one will never know unless they try, and this is where my intuitive guidance had led me at the time. During this time, I did a lot of reviewing the understanding I had. Again, I looked to see exactly how accurate the understanding was, or whether or not I could find things that went against the understanding that I accessed in the vision or download that I had. One reason why I was not overly concerned about the dissemination of information, because I also received guidance early in my journey to just deliver the message. Don't engage the world. That is, don't argue with the differences with anybody. Just report the message. Then allow them to eat and digest what is reported and assimilate what they need based upon their own unique journey. After my son finished his education, one of the main reasons for the store was met. Additionally, I found the shift in clientele moved away from creativity and more into products and accumulation of stuff. My insight was to close down the store and return to writing, to write up what was learned and experienced since creating the websites. Then there have been some additional insights that I gained since my original writing, and the YouTube recordings address the additional insight. Preserving and protecting one's creativity. There is a side note to buying the store that brings up an important issue, which is, where have we placed our creativity to protect it? What kind of safe place have we created where we are free to explore options and freely play? We all started out as a child free to spontaneously and innocently play at self-discovery and exploration of our world. We never lost that ability. We have placed it somewhere. Many have put it into a cage to protect it, but they never let it out and it remains in prison. Others find a way to bring it out occasionally in a safe space to be experienced. In my case, I played with and had an interest in trains all my life. Many think I was simply indulging my desire to play with trains and buying the train store. Initially, at some level, I thought so too. Before I heard the request, who will protect my children, I had created a train layout in a spare bedroom. As I looked at what I had created, I had an intuitive insight. The insight said, "This is not correct. The layout I build should be readily seen by people." I did create such a layout in the store. The layout was seen and admired by many. In some ways, when buying the train store, a part of me thought, I finished the writing and 14-year journey, it's now time to play. But I found that to be far from the truth, such that before I closed the deal in purchasing the store, I had a realization. The train store I was buying was directly next to the railroad tracks. The tracks passed within 10 feet from the back of the store. In buying the store, I was watching a train and its engines approach the store, and as it passed, I came to realize my interest in trains was not really an interest in trains. The interest in trains was a mask for something else, something much deeper. In that moment, I remembered as a child, I had some experiences in which the trains were present when I had the experience. It was an experience of wonderment and awe about creation, and my awareness would go off into a different way of seeing and experiencing creation. As a child, with the child's mind, I assumed the trains were the cause rather than the occasion of the experience I had. So, as a child, with the child's mind and child's understanding, I latched on to the trains. It was only having all the trains and things about trains I could ever want in the store that I realized my interest was never about trains. The trains called me back to remembering a deep and profound state of being within me. It was about what could be and can be created. As a result, I knew I had no interest in running and owning a train store or playing with the trains. The train store was simply the means to an end. The end is simply to help individuals to align with what lies in their heart and the freedom of play, and to move away from the mind which continuously steals our attention, and two, to help regain the financial resources to continue the journey to build the learning center and the retreat center where people can come to learn how to have a gentle phoenix and to obtain the tools that are necessary to do so. I found nothing more wonderful in life than seeing a person learn to step out of mind and find the passion of their heart and the courage to find a way to live in the world in that passion. The trains were a place where I preserved my freedom to play as a child without judgment from the external world in how I played. The trains were a safe and secure space where I could hold my creativity sacred. Here the question is, where have you placed your creativity that allows you the freedom to play in that safe and secure space? A recommendation. Here, a recommendation is made about our creativity. When I was teaching my son how to play the clarinet and hopefully motivate him to practice, I said you should practice 3 ways. One way is to practice to give the director or the audience what they want. The second way is you practice to improve your technique and the ability on the instrument. The third way is probably the most important. It is to practice what you love to play, for it will give you the energy to do the other 2. So too life. We need to give the world what it asks of us for the time and place we exist and find ourselves. Then we need to practice our technique to engage life, and we are willing and able to follow our internal guidance. Do we hold our creativity sacred and give ourselves what we need in life? The third is to do something we love to do that allows us to feel the life is worth living, for that will give us the energy to do the other 2. Often that is doing what makes us feel alive with the greatest feeling of inner satisfaction. It is here our creativity and how we have learned to protect it. Here we create that safe and secure space where we are free to play and explore options. Our creativity will both help us to develop our technique to engage life, and do we allow our creativity to help us create that life worth living. Closing comment about our unique journey. In ending this recording, I'd like to leave you with the following thoughts. We each have a life path that is orchestrated within the orchestration of creation to provide us with an improvisational experience unique to who we are. Additionally, we each have unique gifts that are revealed as we live in alignment with the flow of our creative life energy, giving rise to our life. Alignment is through feeling. Our human mind will have its way of distracting, if not masking, what we feel. Our life is a new, original, never-before experienced creation. Our human mind came into existence after we incarnated and our body was developing. It does not know why we are here. It may create stories as to why we think we are here, but they are stories. Since our mind does not know, our human mind will always experience some anxiety of being in the unknown. It is recommended one learn to feel their way and trust the flow of the creative life energy within them as to what direction they need to go in life. It is hoped that in reviewing my journey, as I have described here, and in releasing your Unlimited Creativity websites and subsequent YouTube recordings, you can appreciate that your life in its unique own way is very similar. You are being guided. However, much of how you are being led is unconscious. You will have changes in direction in life, sometimes unexpectedly, sometimes painful, sometimes in great pleasure, but they are all part of a larger orchestration. We are like the honeybee who gathers nectar and pollen for the hive to make honey, but in doing so, it pollinates the flowers and the plants in trying to collect the nectar and the pollen. Our lives, too, are interconnected with all with whom we interact. We play roles for them and they play roles for us, and we each give each other experiences orchestrated through the orchestration of creation. The key is to follow the flow of our creative life energy, and we do so through feeling.